Welcome back, everyone, to another Nubs Long Play. We're going to be looking at the game Crystalis, which was released by SNK in July of 1990. This is one of my favorite NES games of all time, but to be perfectly honest, it's not supported by the number of times I've played through the game, simply because the game that I originally had was pretty badly either corrupted or corroded and did not work very much after the first couple of times we played it. We always assumed, when I was still living with my family, obviously, that the problem was that the Nintendo was starting to have some issues, because if you were a kid and you ever owned a Nintendo, you're familiar with the problem that all of them had, which was the connector pins inside of the system were seated kind of loose, and over time they would actually get widened a little bit from you inserting cartridges. Everyone thought initially back then that the problem was, oh, the cartridge is getting dust on it, so every kid who had a Nintendo and had a problem with a game would do the same thing. They'd take the cart, they'd blow on the actual connector pins of the cart itself, then they'd stick it in the Nintendo, turn it back on, and then sometimes it worked, sometimes it wouldn't. You'd go back through the cycle a couple of times. I actually found that a way to get a good connection was actually tapping on the sides of the Nintendo before I turned it on, but ultimately the issue was always the connector pins inside the Nintendo, and once those were messed up, there wasn't a whole lot you could do about it. This particular game, no matter how much I tapped on the sides of the system or did anything else to try to get it to work, it was very finicky, and if you did manage to get the game to work after about 30 minutes or so, the cartridge would start having a lot of file errors where you would see, lots of glitches on the screen, and objects would start becoming very muddled messes of pixels. And a very sad story. None of that has to do with setting up the game, but I just thought I'd share why we're looking at this, and while I go through the game, I'm going to probably be very lost at some points because I just don't remember what you have to do to play through the game and beat it. I might resort to using a guide a little bit to try to help me in certain areas where I get stuck. I'll probably do a little preemptive setup before each episode to get myself familiar with what I need to do to get through each area. But hopefully none of that will impact the actual videos recorded. But let's go ahead and get started with the story. Obviously, if you've been watching the screen, you've seen the story setup they're giving you in the game here. But of course, the instruction manual has a much longer, more detailed story. So let's go ahead and set that up. The story section is called simply The Story of Crystalis. It has been said that an ending is merely a beginning in disguise. And so it was that when the Great War engulfed the world, bringing civilization as we know it to an end, it ushered in the dawn of a new era, an era in which science and technology were shunned, for they had proven to be mankind's downfall, and the ancient arts of sorcery and magic were revived. As the survivors slowly rebuilt their world, towns and villages began to spring up, and the wisest and most powerful of the magicians used their magic to keep order. Sorry, I just bit my tongue. Peace reigned over the land for 100 years, until a powerful magician named Dragon, intrigued by the forbidden ways of science, began to study the principles of machines and flying. Realizing the power he might wield if he combined his magic with technology, his mind became twisted by the urge to control and dominate his fellow man. Dragon created a computer capable of simulating his magic powers. He placed it in a floating fortified tower, and from his airborne fortress, he built and controlled his growing empire until the entire planet was threatened by his ever-spreading evil. In an attempt to combat Dragon, the other magicians constructed a series of powerful swords, along with powerful items to use with these swords. Based on the basic elements of the land, wind, fire, water, and thunder, not earth, interesting enough, the four swords, if used together at full power, would transform into the next elemental stage, that of crystal. Also interesting, I didn't know crystal was an element, but whatever. This would be the mightiest weapon ever created, the sword Crystalis. Learning of their idea, Dragon seized the weapons, but they had made them too well. Sorry, I'm stumbling over the words. And he was unable to destroy them. Knowing they could only defeat him if used together, Dragon scattered the weapons throughout the land and stripped the wise magicians of most of their powers. In desperation, they began to study the writings from the time of the Great War, where they learned of a great magician, the most powerful who ever lived. He had been imprisoned in a cave and frozen by the evil forces of the Great War, who had hoped to use his powers to control the world after the war. Searching the globe, the wise men found the cave and were amazed to find that the mighty magician frozen within was a mere lad. Though they knew it might destroy them, they pulled all of their remaining power in an attempt to will him back to life. When the boy awoke, his mind a blank, even his name forgotten, they had vanished, leaving him to find his destiny in this strange new world. In Crystalis, you play the role of the young magician, making your way through Dragon's hostile land in an effort to locate the weapons you will need to defeat him. Dragon's monsters and black magic will threaten you at every turn, but you must not falter. Only you can deliver the world from his scourge of evil. And I think that's it. I do apologize if I stumbled a couple spots. This was a typed out synopsis of the story that was originally translated from the instruction manual. I don't have the original instruction manual myself. I had to find this one online, but I did it pretty good, even though there were some typos that I kind of got tongue-tied on. But anyway, the game's in-game story has also been playing here. I don't know if any of this was really tied to the story that I was just reading or if it's completely different, but we'll go ahead and get started. I always remember liking this intro. Very cool. I'm not going to read this. You're adults. You can read yourself. Ooh, I like the page flipping effect. Ooh, it's speeding up. This guy reads fast, and also backwards. He's flipping the pages right to left. Interesting. Okay. Well, I know what I'm going to be. I'm going to be nub. An end. So the aesthetic of this game, of course, or at least the premise of the game, is that the world had a lot of futuristic technology at one point, and you emerge to a world that has regressed significantly because they fear that technology had destroyed civilization and mankind. So you come out of a big technologically advanced-looking cave, and then you walk into basically a medieval village. Before we get started, I would just like to point out that apparently in the future, everyone wore exercise clothing, because it looks like he's wearing spandex and a headband. Interesting choice. Hey, there's a guy coming out of the cave. And she said all that while she was in the air. That's impressive. This is the village of Leaf. There are great dangers outside of town. Please be careful. If I bump into someone who said something that I've already read, I'm not going to keep repeating it, and you'll see why that's an important thing to set up now, because it's going to happen a lot. These people walk in front of you, and I'm not pressing a button. As soon as I touch them, they talk. The wind here is always cold, but we're used to it. Well, put on clothing. I mean, you're walking around in a tank top and a short skirt, lady. Just trying to set it up for you. Oh, it's you. I'm sorry I ran from you when we first met. Zebu says he is having a hard time with the windmill guard. He is always sleeping. Is that supposed to be a guy? I thought I saw a beard. Like, that is a guy. Wow, I thought that was a lady. Alright. I am the village elder. You awoke from inside the cave, didn't you? We were told you would arrive. You are our last hope to defeat evil. Receive this sword to protect you on your quest. This and others like it will guide you. You now have the Sword of Wind. Okay, thank you. What do you have to say? There was an old windmill to the north, but I've never seen it working. Well, you're young. Maybe it hasn't been that long. Please be careful. Our destiny is in your hands. So, this game kind of plays like a combination of an RPG and an action-adventure, kind of like Legend of Zelda, but we'll explain more in a second here. Let's talk to this guy. You have finally awoken. This money is from the wise man Zebu. It's yours. Zebu? Thank you. Anything else to say? I'm the first people of Zebu. You must bow down before me. Oh, okay. There's no bow button. Sorry. Kind of a jerk. Did you visit the Elder's house yet? Yep, sure did. I'm going to the side house. Q! Q! I think this is one of those situations where the game, which was, of course, made in Japan, has some text for what the Japanese interpret as the sounds that a rabbit makes, and of course that doesn't make sense to us, but that's kind of like, I think in certain countries, like when we think of spelling out what a dog does when it barks, we always put, you know, woof woof or bark bark or something like that. And then like in Japan, it would be like bow bow or something weird like that. That may be a situation there where the rabbit is supposed to be making a sound, which I don't know if we've ever, English speakers have ever actually tried to verbalize what exactly the sound is that a rabbit makes. Now, let's see what they cost. I can get a tanned hide and a carapace shield. Let's get the tanned hide. Alright, thank you. No, let's go ahead and leave. So, this is kind of the RPG aspect of the game. You pick up different weapons and armor, and you can actually equip them if I hit the right button. So I have now the tanned hide on, and the sword. The nice thing about the tanned hide, which is the one and only graphical effect we'll notice in the game as far as cosmetics... Oh, don't drop it. Can I leave now? Come on. There we go. So now it looks like he's actually wearing something over his tank top. Sorry, there's going to be a little bit of stumbling trying to remember what the button presses do. This is an item shop. We get some herbs and stuff in there, but of course we're out of money, so let's go ahead and run into someone I'm trying to pass. I told you it was going to happen. Oh, come on, kid! You're blocking the path. There we go. So, the other aspect of this game that makes it more like an RPG is there is actually an experience bar. At the bottom there you see 0 out of 30 experience points, and the only way to get those experience points, of course, is to kill monsters. Hopefully I'm not going to have to do a ton of grinding, but one of the things that you should be prepared for if you're watching this video is there's probably going to be some episodes where I have to grind. Ouch. Well, you're a tough guy, aren't you? Unfortunately, one of the things that they did in this game to try to enforce the idea that you level up before you go to new areas is they'll actually make enemies that are above your level impervious to damage. What'll happen is instead of taking damage like they are right now, where you can hear that little slash sound every time I hit them, you'll hear like a blunt ping sound, and what'll happen is the enemy will just kind of bounce away and they won't take any damage. So that's something to expect to be a problem, at least in the early offing when I'm figuring out where I can and can't go to because of level restrictions. Thankfully, the game doesn't have a ton of levels for you to gain. I think I read somewhere that the top level is 16. So we're already at level 1, and level 2 is coming up very quickly. That's the good news. The bad news is, of course, the growth of the experience requirement for each level is going to be very high, very quickly. So you'll quickly find out that it takes a lot of grinding to get levels, especially early on, because there isn't like a secret spot you can go to in any one area where you have ample opportunity to level up. Quickly, rather. Obviously, you can level up anywhere if you can kill the enemy! Hopefully the inn is not super expensive. Oh yeah, it is. Jerk. Alright, fine. So we're gonna want that shield. Every little bit of defensive points or power you can get is important, so that when you get into areas where you don't have a ton of opportunity to recover health, you minimize the amount of damage you're taking. Why are you walking around that tree, cat? Dummy. Hey, don't avoid me. I'm trying to talk. So one of the things I hadn't done yet, now you're seeing it, is this game gives you the ability to charge up your sword and then shoot it. Like so. But it is a little bit slow. That is a good way to mitigate damage, obviously, if you're worried about getting hit by enemies, is just charge up your weapon and shoot it. It does take some time to do, so sometimes it's not worth it if you're going to have to do a ton of hits on the enemy anyway. That sound can also be a little bit grating, so unless it's really getting difficult to kill enemies, I'll probably avoid doing that in favor of just stabbing them. Come on. Hey! We leveled up. Alright. Boink. Oh, I saw slime. A slime with eyeballs. He's got a sassy little stride there. It's like he's shaking his shoulders back and forth as he walks. Must be all that jazzercise that he does on the side. I mean, this guy could not look more like a stereotypical street tough from the 80s if they tried. He's got the headband, he's got some hot spandex colors, he came out of the cave wearing a tank top. Come on, get back here. We want 80 bucks so that we can get that shield, and then we'll see how much the herbs cost. If they're super expensive, we may not bother getting a ton of them. Just see if I can't beat the first guy without it. Actually, let's do one thing. I think I can do it now. I might not be able to, but we'll try anyway, which is we're going to go in this cave right over here. Obviously, this game came out 3 years after Legend of Zelda, so people have, our developers have started adding more RAM to their cartridges, which means they can hold on to more memory. Oh, cool. Alright. I'm called Zebu. Nub, you are the one we have been waiting for. Try to make the windmill work. If you can do this, I will teach you some magic. Alright, cool. See you. So one of the things that, you know, is a happy result of adding extra RAM to the cartridges is that you can have larger maps that you can move around in like this, as opposed to Legend of Zelda, where everything was a single screen. So you see lots of very large, spread out areas like this that the game can handle. Now, of course, I think the trade-off there is, see, there's the windmill. The trade-off there is, of course, that the number of enemies on the screen is going to be severely impacted. And if you have too many, the game will probably slow down, but it's a nice little upgrade. And we're obviously recording this right after I had finished my Legend of Zelda playthrough, so the comparison is going to be very noticeable since it's back-to-back playthroughs of games. Come on, get you. I'm gonna see if I can't start damaging enemies in the cave up here that I need to go to. I hope I can. Might be a tiny bit early. Oh, 2 for 1. So, can't do anything here because we don't have the key. The key we find from a guy that has it somewhere in this cave, I believe. There he is. Alright, so, the way that we get him to wake up is we have to buy an item that's in the shop all the way back at the village. Come on. Oh. Now, the swords that you get in this game are all based on elements, and that is important because certain areas will have enemies that can only be damaged by certain elements. So, for example, when we get to the... I don't know if it's the immediate next area or not, but there's going to be an area where we're going to be fighting enemies that are resistant to wind damage, and the only way that you can damage them is to get the second sword of the game, which I believe is the Sword of Fire. And that will damage them, but if you use the other one, like I said before, what'll happen is... oh, we need 80. Alright, well... let's see. It'll be the same as if you're under level trying to damage an enemy. Instead of damaging them, they'll just kind of bounce off your attack. Okay, so... oh, God, everything in this game's expensive. Warp boots, alarm flute. This is the one we gotta have, so... no. Come on, lady. You're standing right in front of the door. One thing I'm not immediately impressed by with this game after all the time since I last played it is it seems like the leading edge of the screen is closer to my main character than I would like. Like, when you change direction, there's a little bit of play there before it starts scrolling, and boy, they don't give you a lot of room for error there. Oh, gotcha. We'll probably end up getting to level 3 before we can leave this area simply because I want the shield at the very least. Gotcha. Yeah, see, I mean, there was not a ton of time there between the time I saw him and the time I had to react before I would have taken damage, so... let's go up here. Alright, now let us put on the item. No, don't drop it. There we go. There we go. Huh? What was that? Don't do that again. It's you. Please don't tell Zebu. Take this to start the windmill. Zebu says a strange ball is hidden in these caves. He says it can break rock walls. You now have the windmill key. And as with most games that came out on the Nintendo, and they did the best they could, but obviously there were going to be some issues. You'll see little graphical flickers on the bottom of the screen and on the edges as well sometimes. Do I gotta put the key on? I sure do. The windmill begins to work. There we go. So that's the exit to the valley to get to the next village. We don't want to go in there just yet. We still have to go talk to the Elder to get the item that he was holding back from giving us because he's a jerk. Like, come on, don't bogart, man. You're making me do your busy work to earn items I need to help save the world. Gotcha. Alright, let's go see what he's got to give us. Like when he walks to the side, it's like he's going N1, N2, N1, N2, and kick those legs! You have done well. I will now teach you the magic of refresh. You now have refresh. That's it? I thought you had something else. Use your power to open the way. Okay. Refresh. So, this is a cool spell. Let me make sure I got the right button pressed. So, basically what Refresh does is it acts as a magic-powered spell to heal your wounds. So, if you just tap the A button, ta-da, I got some health back. You don't want to use that a ton because, as you can see, a single tap of that healed me up, but it also used 4 magic points out of 34. So, that's obviously kind of more a last resort if you have to save your magic for something more important. And there will be instances where we really got to save those magic points for stuff that we need to do in order to advance through caves. Like, I think there are areas where you get poisoned a lot and you have to use a heal spell to recover your status back to normal, because antidote is the only way to stop the poison. You can't outlast it. It will eventually kill you. which stinks because there is an area in this game that I remember very vividly because of how many times I got killed trying to beat it. That is just full of bugs and poisonous plants, and frankly, it was just a frustrating mess to beat. And for some reason, I also recall the game getting corrupted real bad in that area, which was part of the problem I had with it. But thankfully, this is a different cart, so hopefully we won't have to worry about that. But that actually does give me a chance to explain a little bit about why we're playing this game as a long play, and also why we're able to do it when I'm supposedly on this channel only playing games that I already owned. About a year or two ago, I had mentioned on a post on my Facebook page to some friends that if you knew what this game was, you're a true gamer. If you played this game, you were God tier, and if you had a working copy, please give it to me because mine didn't work. I posted that, and then a friend of mine actually sent me a copy of the game. It probably only cost him a couple of bucks, but it was a nice gesture. And if you've watched any of the well, I guess that's not fair. If you watch a future episode, I actually will have him on play a game. His username is Shinobi Dave. So if you're watching this, David, thank you for this game. I do appreciate it. It was a very thoughtful gesture, if a cheap one. I don't know why I came back here. Force of habit. I still need 80 bucks to get that Carapace shield, so let's go find the money I need. But yeah, that was always a bummer. I had all these games that I liked, and most of them were, you know, standard Nintendo fare. I've complained enough about the Sega Master System games that we've looked at being way too short because they were designed much like some of the Nintendo games that I have, with a certain mindset that the developers carried over from... Hey, I leveled up again. They had carried over from the arcade days. And that mindset was you want money as much as you possibly can milk out of the gamer with an arcade cabinet. Since they're only putting in a quarter each time they play it, you want to make sure that they spend more than just a quarter. So the first level, they give you a taste of the gameplay, and usually it's fairly easy. Second is, you know, a tiny bit more difficult, but usually around the third and fourth levels is where the difficulty becomes prohibitive. And obviously, if you've gotten a taste of progression, you want to keep playing, so you pop another quarter, play a little bit more, and then you die, pop another quarter, and on and on and on. They carried that design mindset into games that you played at home. And I don't know if at the point that video games were being released on home consoles like the Nintendo games, developers had any idea that rental stores would exist, where you could rent a game for 2 or 3 days and then have to take it back and then want to rent it again because you obviously couldn't finish the game before you had to take it back to the store, so you pay again to play it, and again and again and again. Which, why would the developers even care about that in the first place? They're not making money from the rental stores. They make money by selling the game to the rental store one time, that's it. But as a result of that, there were a ton of games that, frankly, were not balanced for a human being to beat. At least not one that wasn't, you know, a unbelievably skilled gamer. And frankly, no matter how good I think I am, I'm just, you know, I'm not superhuman. I still struggle with games plenty. But when you make a game that someone has already paid full price for, however much they were back in the day, 40, 50 bucks, and then you make it so difficult that you can't actually beat the game no matter how many times you try, I think you're kind of screwing over the consumer. You're telling them, hey, look, we know you paid a bunch of money to play this game, but we're not going to make it so that you can ever beat it. That's not good design. This is probably one of the first games that I ever owned where, you know, I could beat it. It was difficult, sure, but there's a save system, there's leveling, there's equipment to make it easier to beat. I don't know if this was the first RPG. Golvelius may have preceded that, but This is certain. I came here again a little bit early. I need an herb, but we're too early for the herb yet. Alright, sorry, I gotta get a little more money. But this was certainly one of the first games, if not the first game. And, you know, there's going to be some games on here that are not just action-adventure or RPG-style games that will, in theory, be able to beat in a sitting or two that I'd love to take a look at. One of those is, there is a Mega Man game, which I have fair level of confidence that I can beat. It's been a very long time, but that was the first Mega Man game I ever owned. And in fact, it was the first game that I ever bought with my own money, so fun story for another time, but I have a fair level of confidence that I'll be able to beat that game in one sitting. So we got some money for some herbs. Let's go ahead and grab one herb, and then we're gonna head into the first cave, or not the first cave, but the dungeon, rather, that we need to go into to advance story-wise. Come on, lady. I wish to buy medical herb. No. Hopefully we don't need antidote yet. I'm sorry you have to leave. Take care. Okay. I don't know if that was the first time she ever said that. I wonder if that means everyone else says something different. Zebu says he is having a hard time. No, that's not new. How about you? Nope, nothing new. How about you? If you go to the west, you'll find Zebu in a cave. Alright, wow. Good for Zebu. Alright, so let's go ahead and fight the first boss. Or at least try to fight the first boss and maybe get my butt handed to me. Gain 2 levels. We've got some magic to help recover my health. I just ran into an enemy because I wasn't looking at the screen. Yeah, we're already off to a banger start for this one. Did I go to the right place? I didn't. I didn't go to the right place. Did I mention this is probably going to be a fumbling start to the game and maybe even a continuation once I get into areas I truly do not remember? This area I remember more than others simply because it's at the very beginning, but boy, at the very end, I'm going to be totally lost. Here we go, this is where I was supposed to go. Alright, good. So this is one of the first enemies you encounter in the game that you cannot damage unless you're a certain level. And you can't damage him at all if you don't hit him. So you gotta go through here carefully. Sometimes snails hide underneath that. You can barely see between the slats of that bridge where he was hiding. Come on. Gotcha. These guys you also have to be careful of touching, because as I recall, they are the first enemy that you encounter that can actually poison you. And again, if that happens, I'm in deep duty because I don't have any antidote on me. The game won't be impossible to beat, but it will be difficult to do so if, or not beat necessarily, but advancing. I think these guys can poison you as well. Not the dragons, but those pink slimes. Magenta slimes? Whatever color they're. Alright, so we got a bridge up and a bridge down. We'll go bridge up this time. Oh, big guy! Oh, big guy who's raising his arms above his head. Dropping big money! I have warp boots, cool. So I don't have to spend money on getting a pair of those. Not game-breakingly critical items. It does speed things up a bit, because you warp to the nearest town. Or not the nearest town, I think you can actually select the town you go to, as long as you've been there before. We'll go down this time. Uh-oh. I don't like that! I don't like enemies that are fidgety. Another herb, cool. We're actually doing alright damage-wise. Oh, big guy. Ah! He threw his head at me. Ah, sweet. Ball of wind. All right, so what that is that is the first upgrade for your weapon. There are 2 upgrades for each of the swords in the game. Basically, what this does is it allows you to do a charge level 2, which shoots a larger beam of energy out. I never put the shield on. You dummy. Alright, so, I think that's good. Yeah, let's go ahead and back out. So, yeah, there's the shield. Not helping my own cause. So he shoots a much larger shot now when he charges up to level 2. It does more damage, but more importantly, it also blows apart walls that you've been seeing that are kind of a different color. Whoa! When you're fighting enemies that aren't super difficult to beat, it's actually probably more energy or time efficient to just charge one shot and shoot it as soon as you can. So here's an example of what you can do. Oh, there we go. Now we got an antidote. Didn't need to buy any of the items that I was thinking we'd need. Look at this guy going ham over here. The nice thing is we may end up getting a 4th level out of all these enemies that we've been fighting in this cave. Just trying to find our way through. Uh-oh. Oh. Alright, so... we went up, didn't we, already? This was, yeah, okay, so that's a dead end. Kinda looks like an Abobo that it can rip his own head off and throw it at you. Kind of. Oh, come on. Get him! There we go. Don't want to touch those guys at all if you can help it. Oh, I missed. Didn't miss that time. No, come on. Gotcha. Go left. Oop. This is starting to feel like one of those cave systems that simply does not make logical sense because it loops in and on itself in ways that shouldn't happen. Although these could just be steps, I don't know. Hey, cool, double hit. The rare double hit in this game where the enemy has to kind of be moving away from you when you fire to get the second tap on him. And heal up real quick. Alright. So that took 16 of my magic points to recover all the health. It happens very fast, so if you're trying to be conservative, you just kind of feather the button. Just tap it lightly. Alright, so boss fight time. Whoa! Ouch! Come on. Gotcha. Ah, missed. Ah, I missed! Good lord. Gotcha! I gotta heal. Yeah, I know. I got him. Got him. Got him. I don't think that hit. Oh, they tapped me right when I was about to fire. Got him. He's starting to move fast. Got him. Oh, so fast. Got him. Alright. I wonder if I still gotta kill the bats. I do. Come on. Got him! Alright. I now have rabbit boots. Alright, so that's an interesting item. Let's heal with the last bit of magic I have. Good. So, if I could hit the right button, it's going to happen a lot in this game, rabbit boots. So, I don't remember if that's something you gotta turn off the magic to use or not. Yes, it is. So, it allows you to jump, and you see that and you go, I don't understand why you need a button for jumping. It turns out there are grasses in this game that will damage you if you walk through them, or poison you if you stand on them too long. So it's very critical to have those boots if you're going through them so that you can just kind of hop in and out of the grass quickly. And sorry, we are going back to the main village before we go through that cave, if I can remember how to get to it. So that we can go to the area directly behind Zebu, which was a destructible wall. Also, I'd like to get my health back. Ooh, 300 experience points to the next level. That is a tall task. And by the way, the herbs that we get in this game do not stack. They take up an inventory slot, and if you hadn't noticed before, not a ton of space. There's some space. All 3 rows here are items, I think, that you can... No, I take it back. I think the top row only is the disposable or expendable items that you can use once, and that's it. And the second 2 rows are equipment that you can reuse over and over. So you don't have a ton of room for recovery items in your inventory. You gotta choose carefully which ones you carry with you in each area. Or in the case of me, if I'm being very careful, hopefully all I need to do is get the ones that caves have in them. Alright, we're out. Oh. Sorry, I keep looking over at the capture screen to make sure everything's going alright. I don't want to get caught by another glitch like I did when I was recording Miracle Warriors. The initial attempt at a long play for that, where one of the episodes, the capture card stopped after about a minute and a half into the recording, and I did an entire hour of gameplay and lost everything. That gutted me. I was... That and the fact that the progress in the leveling game there was so difficult, it just drove me to abandon the long play altogether. Which I don't intend to do with this one. I think we've already made great progress in the first episode, far more so than I had done in the first episode of Miracle Warriors, where I spent an hour just trying to get the money to buy the equipment that I needed to play the game. That was very depressing. Let's see if anyone else says anything. Oh, this guy's gone. I think the reason for that is he actually shows up in another area later. Yep, alright, so I got my health and my magic back. Let's go back to Zebu. By the way, we don't have what we need to do it yet, but the reason why there's a rabbit inside of that hut next to the house that talks, or at least makes noises, is that I think later you get either an item or a spell that allows you to talk to animals. And yes, there is a reason for that. It's tied to advancing the game in some areas. That one may not actually do anything to help us, but some animals do have either items or knowledge that you need to advance. Alright, so he means use your power here. But of course, that one doesn't work because I guess this is where you gotta use fire. Alright, well, all we really got out of going back to the village apparently was just the health and magic back. Oh well. I knew there was a wall there, I just didn't realize it wasn't a wall we could break yet. We'll get what we need later. I want to go this way? No, I want to go this way. Oh, oh, oh! By the way, if slugs were this big, good lord, I don't think I'd ever touch one. Come on. Get out of there. Get. Now what I'm hoping is that the fog of time and memory of how difficult the game can be, but isn't necessarily, as you get older and more experienced at games, will simplify something that I was imagining was going to be very difficult with this game, which was that leveling up was going to become so difficult that I was going to spend entire episodes just trying to level up, and if the early hours are any indication, that may not be the case, because, as I said before, the max level for your game is 16, and we're already a quarter of the way to that now. Also of note, at the bottom there, is that they have 5 different experience point totals, tallies there. So, while we're getting early levels very easily, it clearly is going to get in the 10,000 range or more for experience points before you can get to the final level, which is concerning. Hopefully the enemies start giving you tons of extra health, or tons of experience. So this may be where we first see the poison grasses. We'll find out in a second here. No, it doesn't look like it's here. No, not early. They might actually be different color. Alright, so we're looking for another... Whoa! We're looking for another village, which I believe is southeast. There they are. So those are the poison grasses. Alright, so there's your first enemy that we cannot damage. That sound means they don't, they're not being harmed in any way. That may be tied to level, it may be tied to the item. I believe it is tied actually to the weapon that we're using. So we would have to find the next sword to... Well, okay, this is not where we want to be. We want to find a sword, which I believe does fire damage to hurt those mushrooms. So as you can see, I went through that without taking damage if I had been just walking through it, I think. If it doesn't outright do damage, it poisons you, which you want to avoid as much as possible. So let's go this way. How much are these guys giving me in experience? 5 points each, so... I have to kill 60 of them to gain a level. So not the most experience you can possibly get from an enemy! Oh. Hey! I double tapped him. Stuck in the trees! Double tap. I think it maybe behoove me to do a vertical attack on those guys. Not the village. Alright, I know the village is here somewhere, I just haven't found it yet. A busy town, Bryn Mawr, is located south of the sealed cave. You should visit there. Okay. So I recall, this guy does a thing where you're prevented from advancing to something up here without a certain skill or spell, and the way they do it is this model moves left and right trying to block your passage. But I don't for the life of me remember what it is he's protecting or what you need to get past him. I don't know if it's like a teleportation spell or an item that you can jump with, but I know that it's there. So I'm going to pretend I didn't know where that was already, but yes, this is an item you need to find later. There's a character in the next village that tells you he lost an item out in the grasses after he was attacked by a monster, and that you needed to find the statue so that he would either give you an item or grant you passage through an area, but I knew I was going to have to come back here to get that anyway, so I figured I'd go ahead and grab it now. Alright, made it through that fairly unscathed. Still not found the village yet, which is starting to concern me because I thought it was a lot closer than it turns out it is. I hope it's here. Tough slimes. Good lord. Ah, see, I took a little bit of damage there. Nubbed, you cannot climb this yet. You don't have enough power to make it. So, well, there's the game giving you a gentle warning that, hey, you shouldn't go this way yet. You need to find an item. I know the rabbit boots are required in a part of the area that we're in right now. I don't know if that's specifically what they're talking about or if they mean they want me to level up some so that I can fight the enemies. I don't think they do that, though. I think the game will let you go into those areas, but if you're not strong enough, you simply won't damage any enemies. Okay, that's the area I've been mentioning earlier. That area is just constant poison the second you walk in there. And the reason that happened is because I need an item that you get in Bryn Mawr, whatever it was. That is a gas mask. Come on. I'm gonna tap into my magic to get some health back here. What I was really hoping... Okay, I'm not trying to drop him. What I was really hoping I would be able to do before the end of this episode was get to Bryn Mawr. I think I can do it. 8 minutes? So, I like the 1 hour length of episodes for the long plays. I think it's a nice, tidy finish point for all of the games. I can't jump over that. Okay, I am at a loss. I thought I checked everything, and I'm not seeing the village. Maybe I do have to go through that ice area that I was avoiding below. What was here again? Oh, just that. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, there's no map in this game. I feel like that is the greatest sin that developers of, like, bigger adventure and RPG-style games could make, was not having some guide for where you were in the world. I mean, even a simple pixelated map that just kind of had a broad overview of where everything was laid out. Didn't need to be super detailed down to, you know, specific shapes of these areas in the larger single maps that I'm walking in. Just say, you know, grass area B, and this is, you know, titled grass area B, and then show a picture of a square of that, and then show to the bottom left or bottom right, this is the village. That would make the world of difference. One of the cool things that we won't be able to do just yet is that area right there between the shore and these two patches of bad grass. This is actually an area you can freeze when you get the Sword of Ice and walk over it. And I think there is an area over there you can get to by doing so, but we're not there just yet. Alright, well, I didn't think this was the path to Bryn Mawr, but maybe it is. So I'll find out. Can't even damage them. Ouch. Oh boy, I don't want to have this episode end like that. Why can't I save? I wonder if that means I gotta save out in the world, or if I gotta go back to a town. Oh boy, I hope that's not a bad thing! Nope, nope! Ooh. let's go back out to the overworld and see if we can't save here. There we go. So, caves, I can't save in. Yeah, this is an old Nintendo game, so of course, saving is something that you have to do periodically, or if you die, you're going to lose every bit of progress you made through the area. I'm going to see if I can't find a real quick guide to where I need to go. To the bold, head southwest to get to town. I went southwest, didn't I? Did I somehow miss something right here? I did. Oh, this is the town. I'm an idiot. I'm Akahana. I used to have an unusual statue, but I dropped it near the river. It was a great find and will be difficult to replace. Have you seen it? I sure have, but I'm not giving it to you yet. This town is mostly for travelers. Pretty noisy, isn't it? Yeah, I can barely hear myself. I've heard that there's a village where only women live. I wonder. If you go east, you will find the forest. It's a grand maze where plants will shoot poison. Yeah, I found it. I found it, all right. All right, lady, I wasn't trying to talk to you again. Not too much more in the last area. Thank you. Let's go see what's in the item shop. Alright, so I have a hide armor, and I already have the carapace shield, so let me double check, make sure I'm not about to waste money on something I already have. Oh, I have tanned hide. Alright, so leather armor will be better, yes. No. Alright, let's back out. Buy that, or put that on, rather. No, I don't want to drop it. What are you doing? Put it on and leave the stupid screen. I haven't been paying attention to the equipment that I'm putting on to see if it's any better or worse. Alright, so we got that. This game. And then I unequipped it. I'm not learning from my mistakes at all. Who are you? The village of Oak lies deep in the forest. The people there don't understand our language, so that is an example of where we would have to have the ability to, I think, speak telepathically to people. Is there anything you wish to sell? Yes. Let's sell this. I don't think there's anything else that we want to sell. They don't even let you sell that. It's like, no! Don't do that. Not funny. Sell the warp boots, but I don't want to. We don't want to sell any of that. No. Get out. Thank you. Alright, so what did you have to say? Oh, yeah. Alright. Let's go in here. I just found out how to get rich quick. Later. Okay. Watch him say, he just found out how to get rich quick. I told him that I made a lot of money from stones I found on Mount Saber. After that, he got excited. Which means he's probably going to die trying to get him. The wise man Tornell lives with his pupils in the north. I think that was the little hut I found. Welcome. Please have some refreshments. Okay. You didn't actually give me any, but that's fine. There are 2 routes to Mount Saber, one west and one north. Or one north. Both roads are dangerous. Alright, so let's give this guy his statue now. I'm not trying to drop it, just let me... Alright. Here we go. Akahana's handed a statue. Hey, this is my statue. Thank you for fighting it. If you need to go to the forest, use this gas mask to avoid the poison. You now have a gas mask. Alright, so... we're at the 1 hour mark now. Let's see if there's anything critical in the item shop, and then I think we're going to go ahead and call it for this episode. Medical herb, antidote, warp boots. We already have everything there. Oh, well, it's probably not a bad idea. I didn't really want that, but we'll absolutely want to have extras when we get to the area that we're going to next. In fact, I'll buy a 3rd one. Let's just go ham. We got the money and we got the space. No, alright, back up. Alright, I think that was a good stopping point for the first episode. We beat a boss. We got out of the first area intact. I haven't died yet. I'm not going to make any promises that'll be the case going through the entire playthrough. The area that we're going to next, that area that I needed the gas mask for, Again, it is very difficult. I do think that if we don't get the sword, the fire sword in that area, which I believe is what we get, we might possibly get the third upgrade for the wind sword, which is a very cool effect, but we'll have to wait until the next episode to see that. So, thank you everyone for watching this episode, and I will see you next time.